Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Tastemakers podcast. This is, of course, a podcast where we sample what's going on in the world of TV and film. We watch it, we talk about it, and we talk about some news items as well. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong. With me, as always, is Grace. How you doing, Grace?
I'm doing well. Excited to chat about. There's a little bit of things out there this week that I watched that I liked, so we'll talk it through.
Yeah, I feel like we're still in a little bit of a slower period at the moment. But there's a couple of things to talk about. I'm very excited about what's coming up this week, which we'll talk about 28 years later. What?
Mhm.
No, not that much later from now. This week, 28 years later this week is going to happen. But apart from that, we'll talk a little bit about some of the new movies out this week that are currently out, like How to Train Your Dragon and Materialists, and catch up on some shows. I watched some Stick, and got some other stuff as well. A couple of news items, a couple of announcements from creatives, for creatives, I should say.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little slow right now, but I think things could pick up this again. I think movies again just been on a roll. So, I pretty much watch everything that you watched, and yeah, let's chat about it.
Let's chat about it. So the first thing that caught my eye this week was that I saw Robert Eggers has signed on to write and direct A Christmas Carol. This is Robert Eggers. He most recently did, of course, Nosferatu. He did The Lighthouse, The Northman. He really
The Witch.
turned away from his whole thing of the.
Yeah.
Wasn't he should have done the Nosferatu.
No Nosferatu. Yeah. Yeah.
So this I imagine would be a dark retelling of A Christmas Carol.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, like, I'm a little like, part of me is like, I'm not like a huge Christmas movie person. I have like my standard go-to, movies but I do like the idea. Like, I love the idea. One thing that I've been fascinated by is like, fairy tales. A lot of like the Brothers Grimm fairy tales were always like, they were sort of designed, at least somebody can correct me in the comments if this is actually wrong, but I always feel like they've been like lessened because they became fairy tales, but the original versions are basically like telling kids don't go into the woods, like it's actually like legitimately I mean, it still can be dangerous, but like at the time, like don't do these things. And so they were scary. They were like basically horror stories. And so I like the idea of like a thing that has been, I think, like softened at the edges, and Robert Eggers coming in being like, actually, this should be kind of terrifying, and let's do it. So I'm kind of interested in Eggers doing A Christmas Carol.
Yeah. We're also going to talk about the Materialists from writer-director Celine Song. We've talked a bit about her, dabbling in the world of love triangles, but she actually has a new project she's recently been attached to, which is an esports drama called Damage at HBO. So this is going to be like a TV show, theoretically, unless it's supposed to be a movie. No, yeah, it's a TV show. About esports. I believe she actually has like some level of experience and or knowledge in the esports scene, and so she's going to be taking on some TV and maybe leaving the love triangles behind, or maybe there will be a love triangle in the world.
There's probably going to be a love triangle in the esports show. Kind of fun she's written for television before. She wrote on The Wheel of Time is basically like where she got one of her first writing credits. So I saw The Materials. I'm excited to chat about it. I feel like it's been very polarizing, which I think is unsurprising for sort of a sequel movie, like the next iteration in a sort of someone who got so much acclaim for her first movie. I think a little bit interesting to go to TV, but I do think the way TV works now in terms of like you can do these sort of one season show, like there used to be this thing where I think like if you went and do, especially for actors, if you went and did a television show, you were sort of locked into that television show. Less so certainly with directors and writers, but that just isn't the case anymore, I think. And so interesting that she wants to try to extend it. And I do think her work does lend itself to a television. Like I'm excited by the idea of getting like, 6, 8, 10 episodes of whatever Celine Song wants to do. So that's
Yeah, I'm
fun.
trying to think of like who is an acclaimed director of movies who has made the move to television and been showrunner of a TV show, and it was like amazing. Because I am honestly struggling. So, like, I have lots of directors I like who have tried TV shows. I think probably Park Chan-wook is gonna be my top pick. But even then, like, it's not like he's blown me away in TV like he has in movies.
But even he did did he do The Sympathizer? Is that what he
Yes,
did as a
most
TV show?
recently.
But he didn't do the whole season, did he? Am
That's
I
true. I don't
he
even know,
only
but he did do oh, what was
he
it?
Snowpiercer,
Um,
Snowpiercer. But he didn't write or direct
Not
that. And
Snowpiercer.
Little Drummer Girl, he was the director of.
Little Drummer Girl is the one I'm thinking of. I think he showran Little Drummer Girl. Yeah, executive producer. Yeah, he was credited
Yeah.
as showrunner for Sympathizer as well. Um, yeah, he didn't like direct all the episodes, but he was like the showrunner for these things. Um, I think he's such a great filmmaker. I think his TV shows have been good, but they haven't like. I think he's not my favorite TV showrunner, which I think is interesting.
So
Danny Boyle is another example of like a director I really love who has dabbled in TV. I don't know that he's done a show running credit yet either, but he is not somebody who's like, yeah, a Pistol. I thought was fine. Like, it's
I feel
like
I feel like the 2 that come to mind for me are David Fincher has done it, pretty
that's
successfully.
okay. Yeah.
And then, David Lynch is the other person that I would say, but the
Mm,
only exception I would make to David Lynch is that I feel like his best success in no, I guess Twin Peaks was its own, TV show. In my head, I was, like, mixing up the movie. Yeah, so, uh,
yeah, Fincher with
yeah,
Mindhunter, I think tracks, and then of course David Lynch. Um, Although I think David Lynch kind of comes from a different sort of era.
I
Um,
would agree. I think in terms of modern filmmakers, though, that Finch is the one I would sort of say, "Oh yeah, he did it." Um,
I'd
but I
love to
think it's
hear
just
from the audience if they
yeah,
have who can topple David Fincher. Who can topple it was David Fincher. I was like, no, I'm thinking David Lynch, but
Lynch,
it is
David
David
Lynch. I
Fincher.
think you're thinking of David Lyncher.
Who can top David Fincher as the best movie and TV show creator?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that like I'm looking at like sort of other and like there definitely are people, and I feel like the thing about I mean maybe I'm over sort of I'm giving Mindhunter too much credit, especially a show that got canceled. But like, yeah, when I
Mm.
look at like other, there's like I'm like googling a list right now, and they're like, well, Scorsese directed an episode of Boardwalk Empire, or like Barry Jenkins directed some of the Underground Railroad. Like I do feel like
I think they have to be credited as showrunner. I think that's
okay,
that's our criteria.
great, love it, yeah,
And then
um,
it's you take their best movie and their best TV show and you average them together and who has the best average.
love it. So yeah, I mean, I think if you do take, I mean, I think I know you're saying a different era, but I do think you could classify
I
David.
think David Lynch might be the top. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you may be because I would certainly take Twin Peaks over Mindhunter. Um,
Anyway, just interesting.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing, especially as the two mediums have sort of gravitated toward one another. Movies are getting so much longer,
Yeah.
TV shows are getting shorter. Many TV shows have become just extra long movies. Of course, we did. What was the one recently that we talked about? It wasn't Alfonso Cuarón, was it?
Oh yeah, the disclaimer. Yeah.
The Disclaimer, yeah. That was
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, wouldn't again be something I'd say like blew me away. All right. Anyway, there's some other big news, Grace.
Mm-hmm.
We held it a little bit because it's not strictly scripted news,
Oh yeah, but it's television
but
news.
there was a cast release for season 4 of The Traitors that includes one Ron Funches.
Yeah, scripted television. I think
scripted television star.
Yeah. I believe our boss here, who's we're not naming. I believe he does it. Does he? He has an acting credit, right? If
And
we
Robert Sesternino as well. Yes, also, I don't even know if he's in here as Rob. He's Rob Sesternino. Rob Sesternino also in this star of
the Scorned,
even
the Scorned,
the
the
Scorned.
Scorned, a 2.9 on
He's not
on
credited on
IMDb.
IMDb for it. Where is
He
it?
is. I do see it. He's because he's not. He didn't. Did he not act in it? He did act in it.
I thought he
right?
did.
Yeah. He actually has several, writing TV credits. So yeah.
Yeah,
Which I
there you
didn't
go.
realize. Yeah. The Scorned. Yeah.
Jenna Lewis. There you go.
Mhm.
Here we go. A writer, Rob Sesternino. Maybe he didn't act in it at all. Who knew?
Yeah.
I never actually watched The Scorned. I'm not gonna lie.
Me neither. But yeah. I love that the photo is from literally like a DVD cover. It's a special 2 disc collector's edition. Sorry to bring this up. I mean, we're giving Rob Sesternino the Mike White treatment. But
Well, listen. It's only fair.
listen. I think
Mike White said, "What if I brought up The Scorned?"
Yeah. I believe it's Rob says we should. Have you seen a movie?
I think Rob said you should bring up The Scorned because I don't think Mike White had any idea of what The Scorned was.
No, absolutely not. But fantastic news that Rob Sesternino will be back on our television screens. Currently out in Scotland filming The Traitors. Yeah, Ron Funches is there. Yeah, it's a fun cast. Should be an interesting cast. We're all extremely excited that Rob is on The Traitors.
Yes. All right. Let's get into some of the movies from last week because you said you saw The Materialists.
Yes.
By Celine Song. I have seen some discourse. I've seen this was amazing. I've seen I hated it. Get it away from my eyeballs.
Yeah, I think that there are people who love it, which are me. Not as much. I don't love it as much as Past Lives, but I do think it's really good. And I'm gonna caveat my praise by I definitely see the flaws that other people are seeing, and yet I think the good parts of the movie sort of like buoy or weigh up what I think to be the weaker parts of the movie, and they make the weaker parts kind of okay. And I think that the main critique I've heard of the movie is that it is hitting you over the head so hard with the themes of that Celine Song is trying to tell you, which is this is a movie about there's the love triangle. I wouldn't even really call it a love triangle. I kind of it's more like Past Lives in terms of like that was a love triangle, but also like I feel like it's not.
It was a sneaky love triangle.
Kind of a sneaky love triangle.
That was it's not really it was a little bit of a gaslighting love triangle.
Yeah, I think it's like somebody who's trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life. You know, like did I make and that one? It's like did I do this or did I do that? And there's a very similar vibe to The Materialist in that like Pedro Pascal's character is a very wealthy, affluent man, and Chris Evans is sort of the sort of more down on his luck, like type character. And the theme of the movie is like it's called The Materialist. It's like do I want to be with somebody who can provide more for me, or am I okay sort of like being with someone where my life is going to be a little bit harder? And like
doesn't that work better if it's not Pedro Pascal that's the rich guy though?
I almost was thinking, I don't know if they ever, but like there's a little bit of this in Challengers, which I bring up only because it's the partner, Celine Song's partner, who wrote that movie, where the joke was that like the guys were named wrong. They were named the wrong name. Like they looked like one looked like a Pat and one looked like the other one. And I kind of feel like you could have swapped these guys. You could swap Pedro and Chris Evans. I do think by the end of the film, I'm like, oh no, I totally get Chris Evans in that role, and I think Pedro is good in it as well in his role as sort of suave dude. But yeah,
I mostly just mean like I actually like both of Chris Evans and Pedro Pascal quite a lot. But like if I had to choose, like it's gonna be Pedro. Like I feel like most people would say so. And then you add on top of that he's rich. It's like, well, You just sweetened the deal. I
That's
was already going to pick him. He could have been poor.
this is kind of the whole point of the film, I think. is like, do you just go like, and I like Dakota Johnson's a really interesting lead act, because I think the other thing people are butting up against is they really don't like Dakota Johnson as an actor, and I definitely don't think she's my favorite part of this movie. Like, I definitely felt like, as I'm like watching and comparing to past lives, I'm like, you're really no Greta Lee. I have to be honest with you, but I don't think she's terrible in this role, and I it's the like, ultimately, the like, for me, so much of what I like is how real the emotions feel, like how real the situations that these people are in, and how we often I feel like so much of what Celine Song is able to do is to break through the moviness of like, oh, I should go do this thing because it's the magical fantasy, like we'll run away together thing. There's like such a like, I feel like this is what, like, the ending of Past Lives, which I think is like, and I guess not the end, like that, the scene I'm talking about, the like on the sidewalk scene, and then like the way that movie ends, I feel like is so real to how we, there's, to me, there's almost like never like a perfect decision. You always have regrets, or there's good and bad, like everything, and is complicated in that way. And I think that this movie does that really well. There are multiple times where, like, because okay, the other piece of this movie is that she is a matchmaker. She works like a matchmaker
Oh,
company.
yeah.
And so she's constantly like, there's all these like times where she's working with her clients, and they're like, there's so many people in this movie are just like, what do you think, I'm worthless? And I'm like, that's, I think, what people are butting up against, this like idea that like the movie is constantly trying to be like, it, I, there's too much of maybe like my worth is tied into our, whatever, like they say it a lot, but I think it's so true in the type of like capitalist society that we live in, where it's like, yeah, things do get tied into our job, and where we live, and like our friend group, and where we go for dinner, don't go for dinner, where we go on vacation and not go on vacation. Like, I just think that feels so true today, that I think it, like, I get that it's a lot, but I also kind of think like that is reflective of the world we live in. So I really, really like this. I think it's like a notch below Past Lives, but it's certainly like a great, second film from Celine Song. I really like it. I get what people are saying, but I enjoyed it. So
My thing about
yeah.
Past Lives was that I felt like the strongest part of Past Lives to me was how personal and real it was. In the sense that, like, I watched the movie knowing nothing about the person who made it, or that it was like a kind of a true story. But in the process of watching the movie, I was like, this feels like a true story. This feels like real events, because Celine Song was able to translate her, I think, real events and emotions into the movie in such an authentic way. And like that movie, I think you wouldn't normally guess that it was a real thing, because it's a pretty wild kind of situation. And so the fact that it was real, I was like, yeah, I just felt it, because she was so effortlessly, maybe not effortlessly, but felt effortless, was able to translate those real things, those real authentic things into the movie. So when I saw the trailer for Materialist, I was like, this is being advertised as such a departure from how I felt about Past Lives being so authentic. And this feels so like uh contrived. So it's like plotty. Like, oh, a matchmaker can't choose between the rich handsome guy or the not rich handsome guy. So I guess based on the reaction to it, I think I'm already getting the sense that it is not what it was advertised to be, which is maybe part of why people are rubbing off against it. But I think that,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I think that some of like the like plottiness and like this thing, and like the rich guy and the poor guy, is, I think, kind of the point of it as well. So like Past Lives, I feel, had this like glaze of like not like spirituality, of like, if we're not together in this life, maybe it's because we'll be like we could be together in another life. Like this, maybe that's like some of the idea, right? Like maybe we were in each other's, like there's that like layer to it. Whereas I feel like there's none of that in this movie. And instead the glaze is like capitalism and like sort of the material nature of our world, of like what can you actually provide me in our life, which is where I think some of the more like I think that that's such a different tone and vibe than the more, it's funny to call the one that's more spiritual more grounded, but I do think it is a little more grounded than this movie. But there are just scenes in the new where I like, and I think especially what she does really well, and I think this is probably like I need to go back and rewatch Past Lives. I've been very nervous to rewatch Past Lives, Sharon, I have to admit, because I loved it so much that I'm worried about like, oh, it's not quite as good as I remember it being. But
Oh no.
I'll go back to it probably soon because I watch Materialist. I feel like Celine Song is best at like the crescendo of the movie. Like I think that is like there were moments where I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm liking this actually, and by the end of it, I was like, oh, all the parts I didn't like, I think were not as bad because of like I'm watching a scene, I'm like, oh, this scene is really great. And I think especially where she gets to by the end of the movie, and so I think that's a really interesting. That's actually why I'm interested in her as a TV, because I think that there are that is a talent of like building to a thing and then paying off on the thing, which I feel like the obviously the pacing of that is different between a TV show and a movie, but I think a thing that can like especially feel like it pays off in a television show because you're with it for like weeks rather than a couple hours. So yeah.
All right. Well, you also watched How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah, I really don't get this at all. And I'm like fully out here being like, I really liked Lilo and Stitch live action, even if I understand why people didn't like it. This I don't understand why we did this at all. I don't, but it's doing really well. People are liking it.
It's doing really well in the box. I think it beat all of the previous How to Train Your Dragon movies in the box office.
It made like $85 million domestically and more worldwide. I just honestly, I don't get it. I think maybe especially in the wake of like Lilo and Stitch, where like part of me is like, if you're gonna make a live, there's something that works so well with Stitch being like created as that to me is not working. Like my mind can't get away from like the dragon Toothless is just a CGI dragon because he looks basically identical to the way he does in the movie, even though the movie is like animated. And I don't really get it. I'm a little bit, I'm kind of stunned that not only is this doing well, I kind of expected this to do well at the box office. I don't really get like the 8.1 on IMDb, but it's a just shot for shot remake of the animated film.
And here's the thing, what I have seen about this movie in doing some research on the response, because people seem to love it, is like a lot of the comments I've seen have been like, see Disney, this is how you do it. Stay faithful to your material. Like people, I think actually do want shot for shot remakes. I think that like that is how to please the general audience.
I get see, and then I'm extra like out on this because I don't have a ton of affinity for the movie. So yeah. And then I'm seeing a lot of stuff about like the score, and I kind of think the score is it's not good. There's a TikToker and podcaster writer that I really like called Cinema Joe, and he gave the best Letterboxd review of the movie, which he said he gave it 3 stars. And he said this movie would be crazy good if it was animated. I just think that that's kind of right. Like it's not. I think I think I like it less than 3 stars, but also I'm like I don't have nostalgia for it. It's just a shot for shot remake of the thing that I watched before, so I don't really get it. But if people love it, that's amazing and good. And
I'm curious. I don't plan to see this in theaters. But I do. I'm curious to watch it because I think there's a chance that I might, like the general audience, feel like, yeah, it's just like a better version of the one I watched before. Because I do generally prefer live action to animated. So
yeah,
if they're able to successfully live actionify an animated movie and give all of the same beats and make it all the same thing, only live action instead of animated, then to me, that's probably the version I would want to watch. And if I already really like the original, then maybe I do like this. I don't know.
Totally fair. I don't know. Yeah, it's just like yeah, I yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't. I think the thing I find hardest about is I don't find the main character that compelling, really, and so that's a thing that I find probably tough while I'm like following his character arc. But the themes of it are good. I you know, it's all about, you know, like, you know, don't kill dragons, basically, you know. So I'm not opposed to that, you know.
Important message in this day and age.
Yeah, you know, kindness. I don't know. Yeah.
All right. I believe you also watched you watched Revival, right?
Oh, I started to watch this, and you know what? This is another one where I don't know if I'm just like totally, you know, I was at a cottage this past weekend there. And I got a lot of sun. Maybe I'm just like, maybe my brain is fried. Like not a ton of reviews, but this has like 90% and 80% on the popcorn meter at on Rotten Tomatoes, and I just found to be not jiving with this super well. And I have to admit, I turned it off. It's like I don't think I'm watching. I don't think I'm like doing this a favor by watching more of it. You know what I mean? That's a little bit that's how I felt. It felt very, I mean, it does feel like a sci-fi, you know, supernatural show. And I do believe there's actually a wrestler. I do believe CM Punk is in the show. But I felt like I felt like I was better. The better use of my time was to like either not watch it because then I would just be watching them I hated, or come back at it at a time that I could give it a little bit more of my, like, you know, attention. I just found it to be it's so like hokey in a way that I like doesn't work for me but might work for other people, I think.
I mean, were you ever like an old school
No,
sci-fi, like Warehouse 18,
no,
you know, kind of person?
no.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Because I mean, I did not get a chance to check this out, but that's definitely like, you know, what I would expect from a sci-fi show. So like a certain amount of hokiness, I think, is expected. Yeah, it's like all these shows are shot in Canada. This is shot in Canada.
What does that mean?
It's just the place that all the sci-fi shows go to shoot.
That's where everything goes to shoot there. That's where
Yeah,
every show.
nowadays, yeah,
Yeah.
honestly. But Sci-Fi Channel did a you know, before it was cool.
Our dollar's
Um,
cheap. Yeah. Hmm.
the premise also really reminds me of I think it was a French show back in the day of the dead returning, but I can't find a detail about that in the current moment. But I'm gonna check this one out because it seems like there's a fairly positive response so far. So I'm curious to see if I feel any differently than you do on Revival.
This is like I remember someone saying to me once, we watched a movie. I was like, "Did you like it?" And they were like, "You know what? I don't like chocolate cake, but I understand that some people like chocolate cake." So that movie for me was chocolate cake, and I
Mm.
kind of maybe feel like this could be this for me, of like,
Do
this is just
you don't
chocolate
like
cake.
chocolate cake?
I do. Actually, I much prefer vanilla cake. So yeah.
Well,
Uh,
okay. Well, because I don't like chocolate cake. I
oh,
actually don't like chocolate. I don't like chocolate in general.
I do like chocolate. I'm not a big fan of chocolate cake, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Revival might be chocolate cake. Maybe not for you though. Maybe it'll be
Maybe for me it'll be not cake.
your favorite cake.
Coffee cake is probably my
Oh,
most acceptable cake.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. Um, any other new things?
No, I don't think I watched anything else new this week.
All right. Well, I did catch up on Stick.
Me too, Taran. No,
The
well, I didn't catch up. I
Apple.
watched 2 episodes.
I think I am 4 episodes in, which I think
That's
is
it. Yep.
all the way caught up.
Yep.
And wow, people really did not like episode 4, huh? That kind of
Does that
tracks.
track? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It kind of tracks. So basically, my experience of watching the first 4 episodes of Stick is that I watched the pilot and I was like, yeah, this is actually pretty fun. It's
Yeah.
very, very well trodden territory. You know, I've seen this show probably a billion times, but you know, Owen Wilson, you know, Judy Greer, uh, Mark Maron is fun in this. And yeah, we're just having fun. We're just having fun. He's noticing. I will say, okay, this is a show about golf. One of the opening scenes has Owen Wilson like hearing the sound of somebody golfing really well, that the smack of the ball. My cat does not like the golf smacks.
Oh no.
My cat, he will listen to all kinds of music and shows and movies with explosions. I've never seen him scared at a show before in my life.
Wow.
He jumped at the golf swing. So
well, they should be yelling
with your cats.
They should be yelling 4. Okay. Interesting.
But yeah, I think it's fine. So what happened was episode 2 slows down. Little bit your friends and neighbors in this regard. Like quick, fast-paced, sort of like lots of establishing stuff in the first episode, and then we're kind of slowing down, establishing some of the other characters. And then episode 3 into episode 4, it's like we're still introducing new characters, we're still establishing, and we're really starting to like slow the pace to a crawl. It's like the basic premise is that Owen Wilson is trying to help this young prodigy out as a golfer, and it's like, all right, we're going to do this thing. We're going to be the champion. And then we go on the thing and it's like, okay, well, now that we've done one thing, it's like, well, now we're going to go to the gorge and we're going to hang out with friends, and I got to get him back on track to train again. It's like, it's just like, it's lots of detours. I talk about this a lot. Like the promise of the show is being detoured by other things that I think that you're not prepared to care about. And so you kind of just feel like, can we get back on track? Which is sort of what he's feeling. So maybe you're empathizing with that a little bit, but it's a little bit frustrating. I think that's probably why episode 4 has such a bad rating. But overall, it's still like a good enough show to, put on.
Yeah, no, you've hit on what, like, my thing I was going to say is that I feel like the central thing is really good, and there's too many other little things that we're doing. And so I felt that I've watched the first 2 episodes, and I feel like the story that I'm like most interested in is like Owen Wilson is like a down on his luck golfer who maybe needs a little bit of money, and then is going through some stuff, and then finds this like young prodigy. And that to me should be enough of the show, of like and some of the side stuff, like I think is like is good. I think that like the slow unveiling of like why he might have crashed out so hard, I thought was like that reveal in at the end of episode 1 or 2, I can't remember which one that is
I think
like
it was 1.
It's really good. To me, it felt like I could see I think Your Friends and Neighbors is a really good comp, because I think Your Friends and Neighbors does the same thing, where I was like, oh, the storyline of John Hamm stealing from his neighbors, good, love it. Basically everything else I'm like far less interested in. And this being like Ted Lasso, but substitute like Ted being Roy Kent, ish, and then like training like Jamie Tart, like that type of thing. I was like,
yeah, it's like these shows are like jumping straight into Ted Lasso season 3,
yeah,
or doing Ted Lasso season 1.
That's exactly right. Like yeah, I love that moment at the end of episode 2, but like imagine you got that at the end of the season, and like you were just so narrowed in on like, why is he a little bit of like, why is he so invested in this kid, like being such an excellent golfer. Like I think you could do, if you were just a little bit more focused, I think in the show, I think I would like it a lot more. But that being said, I think it's still good enough to be worth watching. Like I didn't stop watching because I was like, oh, okay, I've seen enough, I'll watch more of this. It was just that I ran out of time. But yeah, I think it's exactly right. Is like, it's just doing a little bit too much to be. And then I'm looking at the runtime. I'm like, man, if that episode was 30 minutes instead of 45, that would have been great.
Yeah, 10 episodes too leaves me like a little bit like, I don't know if you're gonna get me to watch 10 of these with the pace you're going.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe a t-shirt.
Anything else that you caught up on?
I don't think I did have a very busy week, so I don't think I watched much more than that. I think that's what I did.
Oh, you know what I did do? I almost forgot about this, Grace. I watched the Minecraft movie.
Oh, what a delight. Tell me how. Yes. What did you think of the Minecraft movie?
I started to watch Until Dawn, but it was too bright out and it was such a dark movie. I was like, maybe I should watch something brighter, like the Minecraft movie.
Pretty bright. Pretty bright.
There were some dark scenes actually, but I actually thought it was a perfectly fine kids movie. Like I think that
Yeah.
it was actually like I think that Jack Black in video game adaptation kids movies is just a goldmine. I think that you just do that and it works.
I think that Jack Black has immediately cemented himself as like he will get like kids like he like this and being Bowser in Minecraft,
Yeah.
like doing the Peaches song. Like I think he has just so cemented himself as like the children's movie star of the next
I mean, yeah, and
whatever.
the thing about Mario was that Mario was very much like a Mario movie. This to me was not a Minecraft movie. This was a Jack Black movie. Like it was just him being him with his humor all over the place. And that's why I think it works because it's just Jack Black.
I also like I think Momoa is good in this too. I'm like, if this
I
should
think
be
he
the
is.
this should
Yes.
be the dial that he's on all the time. I think it's great. I think that like the critique I'll make of the movie is that like then everybody else is really kind of like they are such background fodder for, for
Yes.
this movie. But like whatever. I don't know. I don't know that it really matters that much. And like they just want people to play kids to play Minecraft, you know? So I think it
Yeah.
does that. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, they
yeah.
do a good job of like throwing in lots of Minecraft like references and stuff.
Oh, Jennifer Coolidge is, I think, legitimately funny in this movie. It's a little weird. It's the most not kids
that
movie
was
thing,
such a
but it's
strange side
I
plot.
love it. I love it. If you haven't seen it, she basically runs over a villager with her car and then like falls in love with the villager, like
It
kind of
was
loves her, and he doesn't know what's
that
going on.
could have been a side plot in the White Lotus, and I wouldn't have known the difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I love it. There are a few things that I've been continuing to watch that I just want to highlight as being like still really good. One is I still think Taskmaster this season is up there as being maybe one of the best seasons ever. I think it's really really funny. I think it's like
Can I
all five performers are on
can
it.
I
Yeah.
give you a small update, which is
Yes.
that after years of taking a break, I have
Yeah.
finally returned to
Yes.
season 9 of Taskmaster.
Yes. Oh, I think season 9 might be. I think that one might be bad. Is that right?
Maybe that's why I took such a big break
Let me
because it
just.
was.
Yeah, I think season 9 is sort of. So who are we talking? Lisa Tarb? Oh no, 9 is pretty good. 9 is good. David Baddiel, Ed
Because
Gamble,
Joe
Joe Brand,
Brand.
Katie Wicks, Rose Matafeo.
Yeah.
8 is pretty much known as like the worst season, and so that maybe that's why you took a break. You took a break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because the problem was I stopped in the middle of a season and then I kept forgetting which episode I had left off on, and then I'd get like 10 minutes into the episode and be like, "Oh no, I've seen this one."
Yeah.
But
I
I've
yeah.
committed to restarting, so I
Love it.
will be slowly working my way through Taskmaster
I
again.
think Matthew Baden has literally probably the greatest prize task reveal, and I'm sort of one who's like, I kind of wish at some point they were like, we don't need to do the prize test anymore. I'm kind of over it. He has literally the best prize task reveal I think I've ever seen. And then the other show that I thought had its best episode, maybe of the whole series this week, is Poker Face. I really liked Poker Face this week. It was a Melanie Linsky, John Cho was in the episode as well. It's called The Sleazy Georgian, and I really liked it. I've seen some complaints that maybe the show is sort of breaking form too much. Like, the show is sort of billed as the how Ketchum, I believe is the phrase. And I feel like they are breaking form in a little. There's been a couple episodes where like there's either like not a death or like the death in a different way. I just thought the last episode, which does break the format, I just thought was like exceptionally well done, and hit the comedy as well as the fun of the show with like some emotional weight to it. So I just thought it was really good. So highlighting that.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about some of the things coming up this week, Grace, because I queued it up before, but 28 years later is coming to theaters. I'm very excited, Grace. I bought tickets already. I don't usually do that, but I was like, I know this is going to be hard to see in a Dolby theater.
Yeah, that's
and it is
yeah.
because between How to Train Your Dragon and like Elio, they're really trying to it's like you got to go at like 10 p.m. to see this movie in a Dolby theater.
Yes. I'm excited for this. I'm going to do a rewatch of the first two movies this week, but I'm very excited. I think the casting for this is just great as well. Jodie Comer and Aaron Taylor Johnson is very fun.
I have wondered if I should rewatch 28 Weeks, because I know 28 Days like the back of my hand. But 28 Weeks, I could definitely use a rewatch, but I don't think it's canon, right?
Yeah, I think I saw that it's right. I think that's right. That it's
I think
not
this is
canon.
supposed to be like a direct
Because
sequel to
he didn't
28
write
Days.
he didn't write it. He
Yeah.
didn't write 28 Weeks. Yeah.
Famously, rumor has it he helped direct the opening sequence, which is the best sequence of the movie, but otherwise was not very involved in the filming or writing of 28 Weeks Later. But I did like it. I thought it was good when it came out. I was a fan.
Yeah. This trailer it's a fantastic trailer, so I'm just very excited for this movie.
I mean, I mentioned it before. I'm a huge Danny Boyle fan. He's been one of my favorite directors ever since 28 Days Later, way back when I was a child. And he's working with Alex Garland again. Their collaboration on Sunshine is one of my favorite movies. And this is like to me, this is like when like before midnight or whatever the third one came out, like we're coming back after 28, what feels like 28 years, and I'm pumped for some Danny Boyle zombie Alex Garland action.
It's been 6 years since his last Danny Boyle's last movie. He last did Yesterday.
I
the
know,
one
yeah,
where,
that was
I kind of like it. I kind of like Yesterday.
It was fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, he worked on Pistol in the meantime, which was like also fine. He worked on Trust, which was also fine. But before that, he did T2 Trainspotting, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. So
there you go. Yeah. Okay. 28 years later. Very fun.
Yeah. I did mention also Elio. I think I've never seen this pronounced, but I assume it's Elio.
Yeah. So this is a movie that's been a little bit like, I think it's been pushed around a lot, and the rumor is that like it's been reworked a lot, and that takes a long time when you're doing an animated movie like this. I don't know. A boy who meets aliens, they think he's like the representative of the humans. We'll see. I feel like
It's
modern
a Pixar movie. If you haven't,
yeah, modern Pixar is like a little hit or miss, and unfortunately, like I do feel like they're a little bit self-serving in the sense of like their hits have really been like the sequels of it, like Inside Out 2.
What was their last? What was their last original hit?
What movie I really liked, which I feel like is not a hit, but I really liked. What's the one where they're monsters, and if they touch water, they're monsters in the water, but on land they're not monsters. Gosh, it was like basically like everyone was like, there's like a queer story in here. No, none of us remember what it's called.
Unfortunately, there's no like Pixar I can click on IMDb, so I can't look.
That's tough. Yeah, I don't remember what the name of this thing is.
All right, I'm on Wikipedia. Elemental?
No. That one did.
Nope.
The one before that.
Turning Red.
Nope. The one before that. Luca. I love Luca. That's the movie I like. But I think that like critically people will say Turning Red, and what's the one you said after? Elemental. I feel like critically didn't do well, but like ultimately did kind of fine at the box office. Like, yeah, I feel like they're just in a really weird spot.
Like it was cultural phenomenons, but like it was, you got like, Up, Brave, Inside Out.
I think the run of like
Coco,
Toy Story 2, Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, Ratatouille, Wall-E, Up, Monsters University, not Monsters University, I meant Monsters Inc.
I feel like it started with Onward and Soul.
That's the last. Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I think that's like Onward is the movie where you start to like.
Oh, is this around when Disney bought them too? Actually,
and yeah, COVID messed with Onward a little bit, and then Soul they did the like simul release, I think, where they put it.
I liked Soul
directly.
but
I like Soul too, but yeah.
But yeah, then I had never, honestly, I've never even heard of Luca, which
Luca's
is
really
wild.
Luca's really good. A lot of people feel like it has like queer overtones without being a queer film, but it's about this like boy who's a monster who then when he like goes on when he
Mm,
like goes on land, he's dry, he doesn't look like a monster, and then they're worried that the town hates the monsters, and so they're
mm.
pretending to not be the monster. And there's like this huge like queer reading of the film that you can do, but then the directors came and were like, nope, it's not gay. you know, it's not. Don't worry about it.
And
It's fine. Yeah, and everyone's like, I don't know, seems pretty gay. I don't know. Anyway, I
then
like it.
Turning Red, I had never heard of. Lightyear, I'd obviously heard of, but I didn't know it. Like everyone hated it.
Turning Red had the
Um,
thing of the annoying thing where it was like because it's a like an Asian girl, and people are like, I can't relate to the main character. It's like these movies are not for you, and also like who cares that you can't relate to one of the you can't relate to the 112-year-old girl in a movie who's going through puberty. Like sorry,
uh-huh.
but it's pretty. It's like it's good.
And then Elemental, I had never heard of. Why is Osmosis Jones in this movie?
E- Elemental is like I feel like it's like fine, but like you know, it's like it's a good idea. I feel like it's an interesting idea, and then like it feels like it should have been scrapped in terms of like they're elements who live in a city. You're like, okay.
I guess I hadn't thought of it until now, but like Pixar, I it feels like they've really fallen off in terms of their originals. Like Inside Out 2 is their first major cultural like hit since Toy Story 4.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, it's funny because it's like even the one movie that they did before that was is like a spinoff is Lightyear, and that did bad. So like they
Mhm.
really have not had success in the last. I mean, I think that like critically they're fine. Like I think that like most of them are like even decent to watch. The thing that they're not getting is they're not becoming like merchandise sellers or like
Well,
my nieces aren't like we gotta watch
mhm.
Luca, you know?
Well, like, it used to be that every time Pixar came out with a movie, it was a big deal, regardless of what the movie was or what the property was. Like it was just, oh, it's a big deal. Pixar's coming out with a new movie. Like everyone pay attention, and like whether you're an adult or a child, because everyone's gonna love this movie. It's gonna do really well. It's gonna be really good. And yeah, I hadn't even thought of it. I like when I think about the big animated hits of the last like 5 years. Apparently, none of them are Pixar except for Inside Out 2, which is wild.
Well, they have course corrected to a degree because what's coming next is Toy Story 5, Incredibles 3, and Coco 2. So don't worry.
That's fair.
They're like just
Yeah,
there's a
in the
couple
next 5 years, yeah, Toy
yeah.
Story 5, Incredibles 3, Coco 2.
There's two original films in there that are not Elio as well.
Mhm.
So yeah.
So we'll see if Elio is able to crack that. But quite frankly, I
No.
hadn't really heard of it until just recently. So
No, the all this like I just don't think it can it just I think we'd be hearing a lot more about it already. Like I think people who had
mhm,
seen it would like be talking about it. The fact that there's really no conversation about it and it got moved around a bunch, I think really feels not good
yeah.
for the movie. It doesn't have like a cute like the sidekick I think is like not cute enough to be like merchandisey, but anyway. Yeah, we'll see.
He's a little wormy.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, any other movies that you want to talk about coming out this week?
Um, I don't think so. I don't think this week.
Yeah, those are the two that I flagged.
There's Brideheart, the Rebel Wilson
Mhm.
movie that's coming out.
Yes.
Um,
I did see I saw the trailer for this when I went to see whatever I saw last. And it was very silly. And then I did discover recently, directed by Simon West, the guy that did Con Air.
okay. Yeah. All right.
I thought that was a very like first of all, I didn't know he was still making movies. But second, it put this in a different perspective for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty wild. There was a movie that just released this past week on Apple TV that I wanted to Echo Valley is a Sydney Sweeney Julianne
Oh
Moore movie
yes.
that came out that we didn't talk I didn't watch it. I will probably try to watch it.
The
Um
streaming movies are so hard to keep track of, let me tell you.
That is the piece that I think we probably if we like miss anything or they like I can do a better job of this moving forward, but we
Mm.
the site that I typically use. I have a site that I get TV shows that are coming, and I have a site that I use Box Office Mojo for what's coming out, but they are strictly a box office theatrical release, and so therefore I feel like I often miss streaming movies that are coming out.
Yeah. But, they also don't usually, at least in my experience, trying to keep track of them. They don't like announce super far ahead of time when they're going to drop a movie on these streaming sites. Often, I feel.
Yeah, they don't.
And you also like have no idea if it's going to be like relevant, like
100%,
because there's no buzz about it until it drops and it either hits or doesn't.
That's 100% right, I think. Yeah.
So yeah, interesting stuff. But yes, Echo Valley.
Yeah.
So, it's also the kind of thing where like they blow up, but then it's got a 6.3. It's like.
The other movie I've been seeing getting a lot of traction that we didn't really talk about because we talked about it kind of last week because I'd seen it already is The Life of Chuck. I feel like it's getting like pretty good reviews coming out of its premiere. So yeah.
Couple TV shows, but the only one that really stood out to me, just another little horror show that I'm curious to check out, Hell Motel. This one is on Shudder, I believe.
Yep.
That I think it strikes me, or no, it's okay. It's like a one by one, people get killed. It's from the creators of Slasher, if you watch that. Just another one of these sort of campy horror shows that I like to put on from time to time.
Yeah, these fall pretty far outside of my. Not that I don't like horror. I feel like horror TV is not something I do often. I typically go to the theater for horror.
Fair.
But yeah, I feel like there's a specific type of show, Taran, that like I don't know how this happened, but like I feel like and like maybe people will be mad at me for lumping these all together, but there are basically I feel like at least 3 of like very similar shows are coming this week. So first of all. Gilded Age returns on Sunday, which is a show that I feel like the thing that surprised me is the first season came out, and I remember being like, "This is okay," and I think I stopped watching it. And then season 2 came back, and people were like, "We love this show. We love the Gilded Age," and so this is coming back for season 3, the Gilded Age, Carrie Coon vehicle, and I feel like people are very excited about the Gilded Age.
I have heard about this before. The people really like this show. Yeah,
people really like this show. I know Marissa Garza and Jason Reed, I believe, are fans of the show. It's 8.1 on IMDb. People really like the Gilded Age. So yeah, that's coming back. And then I don't know how this has happened, but there's the Buccaneers. It's an Apple TV, and it's not exactly the same, but it is like a historical drama, and I feel like if you're and it is set during the Gilded Age. It's just like younger women, I think, and more like romancy. I think I didn't watch the first season, but I just feel like what bad timing for them to be like, we'll put it out in June, and then HBO's like, we're also dropping the Gilded Age. And then thirdly, there's a show coming up on BritBox, which is called Outrageous, which is the Mitford sisters, based on these real 6 sisters in the 1930s. And so again, different time period, but I just feel like there's like a lot of these shows, historical period pieces, female led, that are all just coming out this week, which is interesting. And then there's one other show that I will flag, which is The Waterfront, is a Netflix show that's coming this week. And it's got Holt McElhaney and Maria Bello. And I believe the thing about the show is that it is from the creators of Dawson's Creek. There's some Dawson's Creek connection to this show, which is, I think,
from the creator of Dawson's Creek and Scream, Kevin Williamson.
There you go. So this to me,
the writer of Scream.
This to me feels like maybe there's something there in terms of like whether or not this could be good or not. I think it's very interesting to think that like, the writer of that did a show like, how many years ago is Dawson's Creek, and whether or not they like come back with something in 2025. It's all going to drop on one day. I don't even think I've seen a real log line for this show. The poster is about as boring as you can get. It says there's
quite frankly, the plot here is also as boring to me. As their storied North Carolina fishing empire decays, the damaged Buckleys grapple to revive their imperiled maritime heritage.
It sounds like a lot of nothing.
Yeah, the reason why I didn't mention the show was because I read that and I was like, nah.
I think the most interesting thing is the poster is like it says for the creatures Dawson Creek and Scream, and that to me is interesting. And at the bottom below their feet it says there's blood in the water, and that to me is a very good tagline. It feels like a bad tagline for this show in particular if it's not about an actual murder. So if it's not like if they're not like murdering people, then I don't know. And I love Holt McElhaney. I'm like so excited for Holt McElhaney. I like Mirabella too. So like I don't know. We'll see. I'll probably check out the first episode and let people know if it's worth watching. But yeah, those are the only things that really caught my attention this week.
There is a show called We Were Liars that is I think one of those like teen shows that strikes me of. I don't remember the name of the other one, but it's one of those shows that like could theoretically just like pop off because it's about like the story of a 17-year-old girl from a wealthy family who spends her summers on a private island and suffers a terrible accident where she struggles to remember the events that happened in her past.
It's
just
based
like one
on
of
a
those.
novel, I think.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, it is based on a novel.
And then also Karen Piri is a returning show, kind of copy show. This one's from the producers of Line of Duty. I've not seen this one, but I've heard decent things. It's returning for season 2. If you like your kind of copy shows.
The name alone, the one that stood out to me the most was K-pop Demon Hunters, Taran. But I don't think I'll be checking out K-pop Demon Hunters, but I really like the name of it. It's on Netflix.
Yes. Well, all right. I believe that is it then for this week, Grace.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, again, it feels a little slow this week, but you know, I mean, not movies. Movies seem big, and TV seems a little slow until we roll into a little bit later in the month. Squid Game comes out still this month, right? Is that right? I'm right.
Yes. We'll be talking about Squid Game next week.
Yeah.
As an upcoming show.
There you go.
I'm watching a lot of climbing competition. If anyone's interested in those. But of course, also Big Brother coming up in just under a month now.
Yeah, it would have been better maybe for like the downtime of TV to be now, you know, or like to be in the summer. Sorry, you know.
I genuinely Squid Game coming out so close in proximity to Big Brother like stresses me out.
Yeah,
like I'm stressed out about it.
Probably shouldn't be stressed out about watching TV. We gotta figure that out.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said about Stranger Things. It's like you can't be dropping things all the time. I one at a time, please.
Yeah.
We'll
see.
Anyway. Thank you all so much for joining us here this week.
The Bear drops the day before Squid Game as well. I forgot about that.
Don't even get me started. I never caught up.
Yeah, you're not a fan of the Bear. I forgot. Yeah, you hate the Bear.
That's what we have for you this week. We'll be back next week to talk through we'll certainly be talking about 28 years later, as well as perhaps some of the other things going on here in the world of TV and film. But in the meantime, make sure you're subscribed, check out all the stuff we got going on elsewhere. Find me on YouTube and Twitch. Just now closing in on the end of my Devil's Plan reactions over on Patreon. You want to check those out. Those episodes are so long and continuing to be long,
but they're very good. They
are so very good. I mean,
they're so good.
I would easily say the best edited reality show out there, and it's not close.
I would agree with. I mean, yeah, it comes from the school of the genius. So yeah.
And of course, check out the Big Brother retrospectives that we're doing as well as we close in on the start of the new season. Grace, anything else to plug?
No, writing for Popeye's writing about Poker Face this season and lots more at Parade. It is Emmy season, so there's lots of interviews and things that are being done with folks who are looking to get nominated for Emmys. So should be doing a lot more over there on Parade. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us here this week, and we will see all of you next time.